My name is Tanya Finchum, along with Alex Bishop. We're with Oklahoma State University, and today we're in Nowata, Oklahoma, to speak with Ida Bell Reed. This is part of our Oklahoma 100-Year Life, so thank you for having us today.
Thank you.
Let's start with having you tell us when and where you were born.
I was born a mile west of old Alluwe in a two-story log house across the Verdigris River. Not been very exciting, but
And when? When's your birthday?
July the 16th, 1911.
And can you spell the place that you were born? I've not heard of that before.
Alluwe.
Does it still exist?
No, the dam took care of Alluwe. That part of it. They moved it 2 miles east on Highway 169, and it's out there, but it's not just a small place.
So where you were born is underwater now?
Yes,
How did that make you feel?
never think anything about it.
What did your parents do for a living?
My daddy was a pumper in the oil field,
Okay.
and my mother was just a housewife.
Did you have to move around a lot
No,
then?
no.
He was a pumper around in this area?
Well, out around Alluwe.
Okay. Did you have brothers and sisters?
I had 2 brothers, no sisters.
And where were you in the line?
In the middle.
Surrounded on both sides.
I guess that was good and bad, huh?
Yeah. They're both gone. I have no.
Left.
My parents are gone and my brothers are gone. So I'm the only one left.
Did anyone else make it to 100 in
No.
your family?
No.
No.
Nobody else made it to 90.
Oh. So what do you think your secret is?
I have no idea. I've lived a good, clean life. Been very active all my life. So, I don't know. The Lord just took care of me
Well, where did you go to school?
at Alluwe.
How many grades?
All of them
All of them.
through 12th grade.
Was it a one-room school initially?
Yes. It was a one room. Well, let's see, it was, I can't hardly get it in my mind. It was long. We had a stage up front. And then, of course, all eighth grades was in this area. So,
How would you get there?
walked. We didn't have school buses. And I walked about a mile and a half.
One way? Even through the snow?
Even when the snow.
What would you pack for lunch?
Don't remember.
I don't remember. Would you have cake suppers and things like that at the school? Pie dinners?
No. We used to have we auctioned off pies to raise money
Okay.
for things.
Would they have dances?
Yes. I can remember my parents going to dances at people's houses, and they put us kids to bed. We were just little.
Did they get there by horse and buggy? I can't imagine traveling that way. Do you have any memories about traveling with in a horse and buggy, horse and wagon?
No, not really.
Not really.
There wasn't, when I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of activity out in where I was raised. It was just, you just had to make your own entertainment.
What type of entertainment did you make?
What?
What type of entertainment did you make?
We played basketball. We lived basketball.
Did you play on a team?
Uh-huh.
What were your uniforms like?
Long pants down to that. But then we would pull them up. I know we went, first tournament I ever went to was down to Tahlequah. And we won it.
You won?
Mm-hmm.
What position did you play?
Side center. See, we had 3 division court. I played in the middle. Then we had guards down here and sitters down here. I mean, all they was shoots the goals.
So you didn't get any baskets being in the center.
No, I just had to take care of the middle. And the girl that played with me was really tall. There was 6 of us. There's 2 guards, 2 forwards, and 2 centers.
And you won the tournament. That's great.
Yeah.
How did you get to the tournament?
In individual cars. My dad was very good in that division because we had Model A Ford with side curtains. And he would load us girls in that car and take us to different places. We went to Jalala, and what did we have? It was inside, but it was a dirt floor that we played on. I don't remember if we won that or whether we didn't.
Were most places dirt floors?
Yes,
Most?
but we didn't have very many places, schools around that had places, ball teams.
Having 2 brothers helped with basketball?
Well, I don't think so. My oldest brother was 6 years older than I was. And my youngest brother was, 5 or 6 years younger than I was. So my parents strung us out. And of course, we played basketball outside. They put the cinders from out of the furnace out on the basketball court. That's where we played basketball, so you could imagine what our knees looked like. But we survived it, had just as much fun as anybody's having today, probably more.
Probably.
Because, we didn't have all the advantages the kids have today. They don't appreciate it.
Well, did you live on a farm?
No, we lived in the man my dad worked for furnished us the house.
Did you raise a garden and have chickens and things?
Yes, we always raised a big garden. I can remember sitting on the front porch with a number 3 wash tub full of green beans a stemming them.
That's a lot of green beans.
That's a lot of green beans. And we didn't have pressure cookers in those days. But we did have gas. It was raw gas coming from this lease that we lived on. And my dad fixed a fire out in the yard with a number 3 wash tub set on top of it with water in it to heat. And that's where we put the green beans in half a gallon fruit jars, put them in that water, and boiled them for 3 hours. Nowadays, we put them in a pressure cooker. Times have changed.
Just a little bit. What?
So,
Did you have a cellar to store the canned goods in?
no,
No.
we had a pantry, and that's where they were stored.
Well, how did you keep food cool?
It was in fruit jars.
Even your meat?
We didn't have meat.
Hmm.
We had hogs and salted them down with brine. That's the way we kept the meat. I don't remember much about beef, but we always had pork.
Raise your own hogs?
Mm.
Did you raise your own? What about chickens?
Yeah, we had chicken.
Whose job was it to kill the chicken?
Well, sometimes I rang their heads off.
You had to do what you had to do, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, you didn't know any better. You know, you'd never seen anything else.
Well, what would you do for refrigeration?
Had an ice box. We drove from Alluwe to Nowata, picked up a 100-pound cake of ice, took it home, put it in the refrigerator. That's the way we kept stuff cool.
How long would that ice last?
Now that I can't answer, I don't know.
I mean, how often would you have to go do that? Once a week or?
Probably once a week.
Was Nowata a very big town?
No,
Have a movie theater?
not then, I don't think. Later we had. At one time we had 3 theaters in Nowata. Now we don't have any.
How far of a trip was it from your house into Nowata?
Well, let's see. It was about, I think it's about 15 miles, maybe now. And so it's,
Took a little while then.
yeah,
How often would you get to go?
about once a month.
Well, did your mother make your clothes?
Yes.
She sewed?
Yes, I can remember. See, I've gone through 2 depressions. And my mother made me 2. Well, I don't know what, they weren't wool, but there was some kind of heavy stuff. And I had 2. And I'd wear one to school one day, and next day I'd wear the other one while she wore that one. Times back then were hard.
Right. I mean, the Depression in the 30s, do you have any memories from that time period other than that? Did your parents have a rough time?
I did it in my 30s.
1930s, you would have been in your teens.
Early 20s, late teens, early 20s. The Great Depression.
Yeah. Well, we had a basketball team in the school. And I guess by that time, we had a brick building where we went to school with individual rooms, different grades. But before that, we had just a big little building with all the grades in there.
Well, do you remember the Great Depression?
Yes.
What do you recall about the Great Depression?
Well, you know, I wasn't bothered too much with it because we had a big garden. We had cows, we had chickens, and we had hogs. And so that was, never went hungry. There was others in the community that had a hard time, but we always had plenty to eat.
So you finished the 8th grade, and then what did you do?
Went to high school.
And was that at this in the
Uh-huh.
same place?
Yeah,
So you graduated high school in what year?
29.
Right at the beginning of the Depression.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what did you do?
Well, I got married 2 years after that, after I graduated from high school. Had nothing. I mean, nothing. You know how silly kids could be. But we were married almost 4 years, and we got a call from Michigan, from an uncle of my husband's, and he said, if you could be up here in 3 days, I've got a job for you. So we went, rode the bus to Michigan, stayed up there a year. I think that's where my daughter was born. So then we come back to Alluwe.
Well, how'd you meet your husband?
Oh, we grew up together.
And what was his name?
He went to the same school I did.
What was his name?
James Larkin Reed.
So what was your maiden name?
Stannard,
S-T?
A-N-A-R-T.
What was it, love at first sight?
I'd say it was. Of course, we grew up together. Grew up, all went to school together.
How did he propose?
I don't remember.
He may not have, huh?
Did he ever take you out on a date?
What?
Did he ever take you out on a date?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any memories from a favorite date?
No. Don't remember. Dates back then weren't like they are today. We didn't have theaters to go to. Maybe on Saturday night, they would be, I don't know who did it, but they would fix up a screen on the side of a building on the outside of a grocery store. And that's where we got the movie on that.
Take your own chair.
Yeah, or sit on the ground.
We were talking about your early married days.
Well, you know, we went 2 depressions after I was married. So, and back in those days, we didn't have what we got today. We had to, the way we entertained ourselves, we'd jump rope. And if there wasn't any theaters or anything back then, see, we just had that screen upon the side of the building. On Saturday night, that was the entertainment we had.
What was a typical movie?
Oh, don't ask me that.
Probably not talking ones. I wouldn't. Probably wasn't sound at that point, was there?
No, there wasn't any sound.
Yes, it wasn't. Well, did you live with your parents when you first got married?
No,
You moved out of the...
yeah, we had a house, a little 3-room house.
What took? I know you said he had a job in Michigan. What was that job?
Oil field.
Oil field. Not the auto industry. He didn't. Your husband didn't go up to go work in the like Ford Motor Company or the auto industry or anything. Just the
No.
oil field.
No,
And you decided to come back for what particular reason?
it was home. And there was a man here that was single that traded jobs with my husband.
Hmm.
So that's why we come back, so we can be back. And of course, we had a job with, at that time it was Weiser Oil Company. Later years, it was the Forest Oil Company. But
Did he stay with them for his
yeah,
whole time?
they did for a long time.
Long-
And then, oh, he worked for the Shell Oil. You're racking my brain.
That's all right.
You're doing
All right.
great.
And of course, we didn't have a job. His folks put in a mill of some kind, just set up for the ground corn and stuff, you know, and do this thing. And that my husband worked on that. But girls, boys, it was hard back then, those days. I mean hard.
Do you remember World War II? Did your husband go to war?
No.
Oh.
He and his brother went to sign up, but they didn't either one pass. Had eye problems. So.
Did your younger brother have to go?
Mm,
Maybe you too young, maybe.
Seems to me like he was in the Army, but it was before or after the war.
And your parents were still living in the log cabin?
Oh no, they moved up on for my dad had the lease, the public lease. And we had rod lines down here. That's something you don't know anything about.
What was that?
Rod lines.
Rod lines. Tell me about it.
Well, best I remember, they were hooked up to, there was a building with some kind of a motor, huge thing around, that, and these rod lines was hooked from these wells to this motor. And that's, and then it that's, when you say pump, it pulled the oil out of the wells.
Hmm.
Of course, I was a kid, didn't pay much attention to things like that. And other things on my mind.
Would you have chores?
I used to milk a cow. See if that or do the separate dishes. And I didn't want to do the separate dishes, so I milked the cow.
You preferred the cow, huh?
Yeah. I wasn't a very good cow milker either.
So you're saying you might have been better at the dishes.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
So you had a daughter in Detroit,
Yeah,
and then you moved back here. Did you have other children
I had Jim.
here in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was born from Alluwe 2, maybe 3 miles south of what my husband was working for Shell Oil Company at that time, and we would move down there. And we moved in a house, nothing, but no bathrooms and all that kind of stuff. Had to run outside to the toilet. You've never probably ever seen anything like that.
My grandmother was like that, so.
Was it?
Mhm.
So,
And when you gave birth, was that at home or in the hospital? Did you give birth at home or in the hospital?
what do you mean?
The home birth.
Joy, my daughter was born in Michigan. And Jim was born down Alluwe.
But at home?
Yeah.
Did you have a physician or a doctor that attended, or?
Yeah. We had a doctor lived in Alluwe, drove a horse and buggy to go to call on your patients. Now doctors don't call on patients.
You call them.
Yeah. You call them, and you go to the hospital or to their office.
What were holidays like growing up as a child?
Well, we didn't celebrate. Because, see, people had no way of transportation. So maybe some of the families would gather together. And so,
Well, did you have in your own family? Did you have any traditions or a favorite day or a favorite holiday, or do you have any type of traditions that you engaged in?
it was more another day. Maybe if you had a lot of family, maybe they could gather. But see, I didn't have a lot of family. So, and my husband didn't either, so.
Were your parents from Oklahoma? Your mom and dad?
No, they were from Missouri. And I think my dad came from Nebraska to Fort Scott, Kansas. And that's where my brother and I think he met and married. So.
And then the oil business brought him to Oklahoma?
Well, I don't know. I think he come to Oklahoma and went to work for a man on a ranch.
Okay.
And I don't remember too much about that.
Did he have horses? Your parents?
Yes.
Your dad have horses?
Yeah, we had a horse and buggy till we got a Model A Ford.
Roads good or bad? Were the roads?
Well, back then we thought we was flying high.
Was church an important part of your life?
Well, yes, when I got to be a teenager, we had a Methodist church in Alluwe. And of course, Heidi walked.
Didn't take the horse.
No, I didn't have anything to do with the horses. I just,
You said you liked to milk the cow. Did you ever
I
have
didn't
it?
say I liked it.
Oh, you did. You chose it, but you milked cows. Did you ever run a dairy farm or anything, or
No.
have a farm?
No. Well, my folks had what they called a separator.
Oh, okay.
You know anything about
No.
that?
No.
Do you?
No.
Okay, it was a tall thing, and I don't remember a whole lot about it because I didn't fool with it much. I was just a smart aleck teenager. So,
It would separate the
well,
fat from the.
we had the separator. That's what I was trying to go to tell you. And we run that milk through this separator, and it took the cream out of that milk. And then you took that cream and you made butter. I'm educating you people.
That was good butter then. Real butter.
Yeah, so.
Did you sell any of it?
Hmm?
Did you ever sell any of it?
No, I don't think so. Everybody back in that time, you know, living in the country, they had all kinds of animals these men used to gather together and house to house and butcher maybe 3 or 4 hogs at a time. Salt it down. But you know, back then, our weather was so much different than it is now. When it got cold and it stayed cold. Now, what do we have? We have summertime in the wintertime. So it would be cold enough to keep meat and stuff. I can remember my mother-in-law, they'd butcher a cow, and she'd hang the hindquarters up on out of a smokehouse, as we call it, and it would freeze solid. And then that's where she'd go out there with a knife and slab off a slab of that beef, take it in the house, bake biscuits, and put that beef, cook that beef. We got biscuits, gravy, meat, potatoes. They always raised big gardens.
What were summers like? Were they hot?
Yes. But we didn't pay much attention to it. I can remember after I had my kids, wringing out sheets in water, put over those kids, put them to bed, keep them cool.
At night? No air conditioning.
Oh, well, we finally got a window fan. You don't know nothing about them,
I've
do you?
seen
Do you?
them.
Well, we got one of them, so we had some air. I don't ever want anybody to have to live back through what we lived through at that time. But we didn't know any better. We'd never had anything else, so we just accepted it. And on.
Well, do you like air conditioning today?
Yeah.
Well, how would you heat, when you were growing up, how would you heat the house?
Oh, we had a king heater. So that you know anything.
I don't know what a king. I've never heard of that.
Well, it was a big round thing in it, and had a stovepipe that went up through the roof so the smoke could go out. And that's how we heated the house.
Kind of like a potbelly stove, sort of.
Yeah, with wood.
Hmm.
So,
A kink heater.
a king heater.
King.
King, K-I-N-G, or
Yeah, okay. It was called a king heater, K-I-N-G-H-E-A-T-E-R.
King heater, okay. We'll have to look that one up.
Just think of all the things you've missed.
well, how would you do the laundry?
On a washboard. You want a washboard in?
I know that, but hard on your knuckles.
Yeah.
What do you think's been the greatest invention in your lifetime?
There's been a lot of them.
What's made life easier for you?
The washing machine, maybe. The first washing machine my folks had was a half a moon type. And you stood, worked that. Didn't have any electricity at that time. So we just had, you had to, well, it went like this.
Hmm.
Then we finally got the Maytag. You know what that's like? Okay.
Maytag. That's a good name, I guess.
That was great. You didn't have to do much manpower for that because they had gasoline motors that worked them.
So you do your laundry outside?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Winter and summer. So
Well, then how about bath time?
we got the number 3 wash tub. That's the way we took a bath. And we all took baths out at the same water. Of course, we did. There was just my 2 brothers and I.
In the kitchen, or would that be outside on the porch, or what?
No, then we had, well, we called it a pantry, I guess, outside the kitchen. I mean, the kitchen was here, and this room was here, and that's where we took a bath. Because we closed, there was a door on the west and a door on the south. So you could close yourself in there for privacy.
And heat the water on the stove?
Heat the water on the stove.
Well, what about ironing?
Well, we had the old-fashioned iron. Do you remember them?
I've seen some of them in antique
Yeah,
stores.
You know, you got the iron you put on the stove and it gets hot. And then it had a thing that fastened down on that iron. And then you could iron with it.
Now, bath time, going back to bath time, you said a number 3 tub.
Yeah.
Was that the same tub you cooked those green beans in?
Probably was.
I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah.
They were pretty resourceful back then.
Yeah, you watched every penny that you had your hand. Didn't have all the luxuries that we have today.
Did you have a favorite decade? Like the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s? Did you have a favorite decade in life?
No.
No.
Well, did you work outside of the home once you got married and had kids?
Well, I went to work in a cafe after I got out of high school. I worked that for, maybe 2 years. And I was married at that time. And after that 2 years, that's when we got a job in Michigan and went to Michigan. So, and we were in an oil field, and there was no housing. But the man that ran the grocery store had a 3-room house. And when we rented that for $9 a month, and in the inside of it, it was just, what you fastened the boards to was nothing. Not like we've got sheetrock on this. No sheetrock on that. But after we moved in there, the man that owned it, he did seal the house. But man, he got cold out there. But we were young, foolish, didn't think anything about it. Glad we had a job. Brought in a paycheck.
Did it pay pretty well?
I don't remember that. But we bought a little Ford coupe. You remember them?
I've seen pictures, yes.
So we did have transportation.
When you came back to Nowata, did you work anywhere? Back to Oklahoma?
Well, let's see. What did I do when we come back to Oklahoma? I guess my husband must have had a job got a job with the Shell Oil Company.
Mm-hmm.
Did. But we had done other things, and we built a house in Alluwe. I remember that. But with the help of Bud's brother and his parents, and Bud worked for his brother in a filling station in Alluwe. I don't remember how long he did, but
Did you work after that? Did you yourself work?
What did I do? Well, I know I cooked. I was the first cook that the school system had for the school kids. I worked at that for a couple of years. $15 a week.
And you had to cook everything yourself?
You had to cook it. We cleaned beans in a number 2 wash tub. Wash them. And then I don't quite remember what we cooked them in. Maybe we cooked them in that same kitchen. Same wash tub. Probably did.
Homemade rolls? Biscuit or?
No. Didn't do big them. I've done that in my later years, but not back then.
Not then.
I was in a little one-room cafe in Alluwe for 3 times. So that was part of our income.
Would you cook or would you wait tables?
I didn't want much bigger than this room. And I cooked and I waited tables, and I washed the dishes.
You did it all.
I did it all.
I want to ask if you milk the cow because you said you washed the dishes. I didn't.
I milked.
Yeah.
I'd rather milk the cow than wash the dishes.
Well, you obviously you must have been a good cook.
Well, my mother and my mother-in-law were good cooks, and they taught me. And I consider myself a pretty good cook.
Do you have a favorite recipe or a favorite meal that you like to make?
No, I like to make pies.
What's the best pie you ever made?
Well, I make a custard pie, a lemon pie, a coconut pie, an apple pie. Is there any more?
Chocolate.
Yeah, chocolate pie. I still do. Until I broke my leg, I still making pies. And I'm going to get back to making pies.
Make your own crust.
Yes, ma'am.
I've never done that. I need to come and let you give me a lesson.
Well, I'll tell you what. You take 2 cups of flour, a cup of shortening, and a little bit of salt. Put it all in a mold. And take you something, stir it up good. So that makes your crust. Then you take it, put it out. Well, I put an egg in it too. And roll it out. Put it in your pie shell. Crimp the edges around it. So.
What was for moisture? Did any milk or water? Or I guess the egg does that. See, I don't have any idea.
You know, a lot of the things that I used to cook are not there anymore.
And then would you make your own filling?
Oh yes. Take 2 cups of milk, 1/3 of a cup of flour, and whatever. If you're going to make chocolate, you mix that powdered chocolate up in that. Work it all together, put it on board, roll it out.
Sounds good. Would you do any icebox pies?
No, I didn't.
I don't know what the difference is, but you bake one and you put one in the refrigerator. That's all I know.
What about a rhubarb or a gooseberry pie?
Well, I've made a gooseberry pie, but I'm not too fond of gooseberry pie. Of course, I'm not really too fond of pie. I'm not a sweet eater.
But you like to make them.
I love to make them. I love to make them. And I like to give them to people after I make them. I went to church, where I go to church, and taught a class on how to make pies. They did, you know, they were young kids. They don't know anything about it. So, I used to do a lot of cooking at the church. We had church dinners and things. And I was still doing that when I broke this darn leg.
Fry a lot of chicken.
Yes, I had a lot of chicken. Now we go to the grocery store and buy it.
I guess back in the day you would cut up your own.
Yeah. Yeah, I can remember a time when we lived out on the farm. I would go out and catch me a chicken, bring its head off, take it in the house, and dip it down in some hot water, pull those feathers off. And take it back to the house, cut it up, take its entrails out.
And fried up.
Or baked, or left it whole and baked it. Of course, you take the entrails out.
Were you a member of a homemaker club?
Oh, yes, we belonged to the Homemakers Club.
What was the name? Do you remember?
Oh, I suppose it was Alluwe. I don't remember, but I presume it was.
Did that for a long time? Did you quilt?
I made some quilts, yes, but I didn't, I never did quilt it.
You pieced it,
I
made the
pieced-
top.
Yeah, I put everything together
Mhm.
and then put the, I don't know what you call it,
The batting,
the body of it, I guess.
the batting in the back.
Yeah, batting it, and had that. You're picking my brain.
You're doing great. Was music an important part of your life?
Now my mother could sing like a bird. I can't carry a tune.
I just noticed your violin, so I was wondering if you played piano or did you play the piano?
No, I took piano lessons, but I was a crazy kid and didn't go on with it.
Do you remember voting for the first time?
No.
No. Your first car? Oh, you said it was a Model A. Model A was your first car. How about an airplane?
I've been up one time. And my daughter, well, I don't remember now where we go. Oh, I guess we were going to see Jim when he lived in El Paso. And maybe we rode an airplane down there. I put my feet on the ground.
I hear the train. Did you do train rides?
Well, I think I rode a train one time, and that was, my husband got a job in Illinois, and he rode the bus up there. And then later, when he found us a house, which there weren't very many in, that's what I'm telling you about, living in that. And all that stuff I forgot. I will remember everything.
Well, how did you celebrate your 100th birthday?
Oh, my daughter had a thing at the church. We had 150 people.
150. So,
And I celebrated my 103rd birthday, 16th of July.
That's just amazing.
what do you think your secret is to a long life?
Good, clean life. I've never abused my body.
Do you have a philosophy or a motto that you live by?
No. I just live every day to its fullest.
Did you ever think you'd live to 100?
No. And you know, not long ago, before I broke this leg up, I'll be talking about somebody And then I stop and laugh. Because I'll be saying something about how old they were or something, and here I am, older than they are. I can't believe I've lived this long. So,
Do you have anything on your bucket list?
no.
Anything you want to do that you've never done before?
No. I've lived a very contented life.
Well, take us through a typical day for you today. Like what time would you get up?
All the way from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock.
4 hour span.
Whenever I wake up, I get up.
And then what would you do throughout the day?
Well, until I got 5th, I was very active in the church and the nursing homes.
When did you give up driving? Or have you?
I have. Last birthday, I quit.
Well, when did you break your hip or your leg
6th day of July, 1913.
or 2013? Do you mean 2013?
Yeah, 2013.
Remembers that date? How did you just fell?
Hmm?
How did you break it?
Well, I'd been out to a party, come home, was with a friend, and I got out of the car, walked from the garage, there's a garage door, a garage, go through the garage into your tube. And I walked up to that and turned just a little bit to wave at her. Down I went. No, it just broke.
You seem to have recovered pretty well.
Yeah,
So if you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, what time do you go to bed?
maybe 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I have no certain times.
Do you do much reading during the day?
Oh, I do a lot of reading, read a lot of books.
Do you have a favorite type?
Oh, no, not really.
Mysteries or novels or?
I read them all.
You read them all.
Yeah.
What keeps you going? What keeps you determined to keep living?
Well, I don't know if I have any reason. But I just enjoy life.
Now you say you get up at between 4 and 8 a.m. Do you have any morning rituals that you do?
No. Give me a cup of coffee and read the paper.
That's it. That's it.
See what's going on in the world, huh?
See what's going on, yeah.
And what's your take on the current state of affairs?
What?
How do you think the world's doing today?
It's in a terrible mess. I just don't know what's going to happen.
Now,
I think the devil's got the world in his by the hand. It don't look good. What do you think about it?
I haven't lived 103 years. I don't know.
Well, you're living now and you can see what's going on.
If history were written about you today, what would you want it to say?
If what, honey?
If history were to be written about you today, what would you want it to say? How would you want to be remembered?
Well, I've been a good person all my life. And I hope to meet the Lord someday.
I think that's a good way to end then.
Yeah.
It was quite a pleasure meeting you.
And I don't want to linger. I want to go like that. I just want to go to sleep. But now I don't know what the Lord's got for me. I never expected to have this. Anyway.
Well, it's been great. Thank you for talking with us.